Alright, what's going on, everybody? So, I have been begged and pleaded by so many of you to make a video about the stock market and to kind of talk about it and whatnot. And so, I'm not sure if I'm going to make like a full-on video where I kind of explain stocks and whatnot, but I guess I just figured I'd come here with another quote-unquote story video and just kind of talk about how I personally got into the stock market and how that whole kind of little journey, I guess, started out. So, my interest in the stock market really started when I was about 11 or 12 years old. Obviously, I did a lot of normal things as a kid. I played Call of Duty with my friends, and I went outside and rode bikes with my friends and stuff like that. But I was also interested in a lot of things that other kids my age weren't interested in. I liked to read Wikipedia, which I know sounds weird. I still read Wikipedia a lot to learn new things and just to, I guess, relax a little bit. But one of the things that, honestly, most kids that age don't even understand or think about is the stock market. Now, I basically got my interest in it and found out what it was because when I'd watch the news with my dad on like Fox or CNN or whatever, there would be always a little ticker at the bottom in which it would give you like these live updates on the market and whatnot, right? And there was always these three that would pop up. It would say Dow Jones, NASDAQ, and S&P 500. So I was always really confused by that because it didn't make any sense. I'd never heard of these things before. And there was always like an up or down arrow and it just had these weird decimals and stuff on there. So I asked my dad about it. I was like, hey, what is that stuff on the bottom? And he told me, yeah, that's stocks. They basically update the stock market live on TV and stuff like that so people can be updated on what's going on. And of course, I didn't know what that was, so I was asking him questions about the stock market and whatnot and how it works and what's going on with that, why people would do it. And that's when I first got interested in stocks. Now, over the years, as I kind of got older and everything, I would progressively start to check the stock market on my own. I would look at live updates and things like that to learn more about it, and I guess to kind of just figure out what was going on. I really liked the concept of the stock market because, in all reality, it's a really cool principle, right? You can buy shares of a company, make money off of ownership in that company, and then sell it pretty much any time that you want to. Well, of course, if it's within trading hours and whatnot, but that really interested me as a concept. So my family eventually kind of figured out hey, he's interested in the stock market and he's 13 years old. What's going on? That's kind of, they figured I think it was kind of weird because of course most kids that age, they could give a shit less about the stock market or realistically most adult concepts of money in general. But yeah, I was actually interested in it. So I think that weirded a lot of my family out, or maybe they just thought that I was way advanced for my age. I don't know. But of course, being that young, I didn't have any money to put into the stock market. You can't do it most of the time anyway when you're 13 unless you have a junior's account, which even then a lot of the time, I'm not even sure if they would allow a 13-year-old to have a junior's account in their parents' name or anything like that, but I don't think my parents would have been on board with me putting money on the market at 13 anyway. But yeah, of course, I kind of learned a little bit more about it. I started to understand the fundamentals of it growing up. And then once I was 18 and out of high school, making some decent money here on YouTube, that's when I really got started into the market. So I opened up an account right after I got out of school and everything. And I put some money into it. I didn't put anything, I didn't put $5 million into it, but I put something in it just to kind of see what would happen, see what I could get out of it and everything. And I put $1,000, which at the time was basically my life savings, right? That was a lot of money. I was actually pretty afraid to put that much in there. But thinking back on it, that was way too much to put in with the knowledge that I had. I could have really burned myself. But I remember the first company that I ever invested into. I invested $1,000 into Microsoft, which at the time, when I put $1,000 into Microsoft, I got about 10 shares out of it because the stock price of Microsoft around that time, it was just around $100. And reading the live count right now, it is worth $203.42. So had I kept my initial investment at Microsoft at about $1,000, I'd probably have just over $2,000 today. Of course, you have to factor in taxes and whatnot too, but that would have been pretty decent off of a $1,000 investment to have in 2 years, another $1,000 added on top of it. You don't get that kind of return at a bank. That was the first time I really ever dabbled into the stock market. And at that time, it was bouncing up and down and around, and I had no idea, what to do. So I just pulled my money back out of it, and I didn't really touch the stock market again with money until late 2019. So that's when I really got involved. Back in November, I was part of this group that I had joined called the Stonk Boys. Now, a lot of you may remember this saga of Optimus's history. Stonk Boys Optimus. Well, there was dozens of people in it, a lot of Twitter personalities, other YouTubers, we were all basically in this big group with this guy who was teaching us about the stock market. And, it garnered a lot of controversy, actually. Optic Big Timer actually made a video on Twitter where he basically shit on the group because he felt that basically what we were doing is we were being really speculative on really weird stocks. And then we would just basically, we'd pick a stock that is really volatile or whatever. Like, this is back when UGAS and DGAS were still listed and whatnot. And we would at least the leader of the group, because he was the one who was mostly posting screenshots, would basically either falsify how much money we were making off the transactions, or we'd be leading people onto, bad stocks to be trading on as starters. Now, this is a time in which I was still really new to the market and I had no idea what was going on. So when this guy was showing us all these screenshots in which he was pulling crazy amounts of money out of his ass on trades, it seemed pretty legitimate because in all reality, he had a lot of market knowledge. He knew what he was talking about. So, of course, why wouldn't he be able to make that kind of money? Well, that all kind of fell through. There's one reason I don't want to disclose at all, because it's not my place to disclose it. It was very serious, and nobody could ever talk to him again and be, I would say, a decent person, knowing what had kind of happened and whatnot. Once again, not my place or prerogative to tell anybody what that was about, but another reason was because one time he posted a screenshot that was clearly either manipulated or taken out of context to make it look better, and he kind of refused to answer any questions about it. So at that point, I already knew that, my time was going to be limited in the group and whatnot, but, after that, a lot of people, I think, would have just given up, right? You had two, I guess, bad experiences on the market and everything. Well, my time wasn't over when it came down to it being bad. Of course, leaving the group in late December to early January, I only had a few months before coronavirus really kicked in and completely fucking destroyed the market. Now, at this point, I was investing pretty much all of my life savings into the market. I had a lot of money on the market. I had a lot of positions that I was hoping were going to do well. And within about 2 or 3 days, I lost about 14 to 17% of all my money. That was pretty bad. I mean, it was hard to come back from, honestly, because, you just line up on the market and get all these shitty experiences hitting you in the face, left, right, and center, and that you probably feel a little discouraged, which I gotta say I did. I felt horribly discouraged about the market at this time, but I figured if I don't continue and at least try, then I'm never going to figure out whether or not this is a good experience and if I really enjoy it. And of course, when the market started to kind of bottom out, I started buying a shit ton of stock again, because obviously the hope is that it was going to pop back up. And it did. The market is going through an insane rally right now, even arguably a higher rally than it ever should have actually had, meaning that the market is speculated to be overweight in total by a lot of people and there should be a correction coming. But yeah, now I'm doing stocks. I'm trading pretty much daily at this point. I'm constantly monitoring a lot of my positions and whatnot, and it's going a lot better now, I will say. I'm learning a lot more about the market. I'm by no means any expert or anything, but I'm figuring out, how to play earnings and whatnot, which really isn't that hard. I'm starting to do some post and pre-trading hours, trades and stuff like that, getting up early to kind of figure out what's going on the market and whatnot, and playing off that. So I'm doing a lot better now with it, and I never would have had this opportunity had I given up. Now, this is weird because the last video I did here on the channel, I talked about how I almost quit YouTube in 2016. So it seems like a lot of the tales, I guess, that I'm telling you guys about things that I've done personally that have turned very fruitful for me or been crazy learning experiences or anything were things that I was pretty much this close to just giving up on. And these are two things that have taught me a very valuable lesson. If you give up on something because times look dark in it and you don't know what to do, then you have no opportunity to kind of see it through and see if it gets better. Now, once again, this isn't meant to inspire you to try to become the Wolf of Wall Street. You need to do your own research and learn things about the market on your own and to kind of figure things out for yourself, because in all reality, relying on everyone else to tell you things, I learned the hard way, doesn't work out ever. You have to do your own research. You have to figure things out for yourself. You have to learn how to read stocks. You have to learn about, is a stock good to invest in? PE ratios, volatility percentages, previous history. You need to learn patterns. You need to learn about earnings and IPOs and all kinds of things. You need to build a game plan for yourself that I can't tell you how to do. And if I did do that, then I would be lying to you, because in all reality, I don't even have the market figured out for myself. Most people don't. It's not that easy. But once again, had I given up on this opportunity, then I never would have been able to see this through. And these two lessons, I guess, that I'm kind of now sharing with you guys on this channel, they have made me realize a lot of things about not only myself, but the world around me. I've realized that sometimes I do try to give up when things are hard. but I've also realized that I have a tendency to look back at the situation and say, no, I don't really think I'm done with that yet. Now, that's usually a good thing. That can be a bad thing, of course, but these were two life-changing opportunities for me. So I'm glad I obviously didn't give up on them, and I now try to apply that mentality to pretty much everything that I do in my life. So I guess if curious 12-year-old Optimus wasn't having a chat with his dad about the stock market one day, maybe I wouldn't have this experience to tell you guys and to teach myself with. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, actually watching stocks right now as I make this video, and signing out.